Today I will post games videos later up. So after watching Cells at Work, I want to start something like that, but I cannot figure out the animation techniques. So today we will do in the old technique of writing in the paper like this, and my handwriting can be bad because I am watching in the screen, not in the hand. So now, so today's topic is talk about physics, and this is talk not any lecture or anything, but simplifyly or just getting simplify the complex thing in the complex manner, utterly confusing for many of us. So in this talk I will discuss the fundamental thing of physics, which is frame of reference. Quite indeedly, one such thing that just ignored in the earlier stage when you read many things. So we will just create the base of the frame of reference with the term called relative, or you can say it is relativity, and I think most of us hear this term with Sir Albert Einstein with his general, sorry my camera is just moving, or special theory of relativity. But in the common sense, relative or relativity means comparison in the dull sense, but it is indeed a comparison between two physical quantities. If sorry my spelling mistake, if I can do, and from my grammar of English. So anyway, quantities, and we keep something called standard. Again my handwriting, so just give it the dot 5 really. So we define something called standard, and we will, from this thing we will derive frame of reference. But in this talk, which I don't suppose to get very long, so again, ladies and gentlemen who are watching my this talk, or who will watch, I don't know if it reach by the YouTube algorithm or not, but if you are someone who is know physics very good, then please comment me, because it is the only response I will get. And please simplifyly just say what I have to improve, or what are the things are missing in the video. So now let's so with example of daily life, like for say our daily life, I will try to create the requirement of relativity. So suppose you have given an experiment that you wake up at 6 a.m. and you wake up at 8 a.m. in the morning, and you have to wake up at 4 a.m. in the dawn. So the scenarios are pretty simple: 4, 6 and 8. Now if you are regular one who wake up at 6 a.m., you see the atmosphere, you see the sun position, like from your window, the height the sun is from the horizon, and you can see bird noise. Or if you are in the middle class household, if you wake up at 8 a.m., you will get big scolded, and 4 a.m. वाह बेटा वाह इतनी जल्दी उठ गए कैसे. So that's it. Anyway, so now the atmosphere, all these things are subjected that where you live, because I don't know where my viewers can live. So where you live, okay, but standardizing means if we fix these things, and if you think and you know. So let's suppose at 6 a.m. you wake up, and that's the window. It is the horizon. Let's say it is the horizon, means how far you can see with your eyes in the basic statement we called it horizon. And now at 6 a.m. the sun is that kind of place the sun is. So this angle that is making with your eyes, it is at 6 a.m. okay. At 4 a.m. the angle will be much lower side. Also the intensity of the and the color, that's also fall into the term of atmosphere. And at 8 a.m. it will be that kind of high. Now what I've said, and if you register all these things, it is the ancient method to pick what is the time of the day. And I think you hear about the shadow, like this is the body, and with sun position the shadow can be bigger and smaller. So these are the shadow length with the relative position of sun. So what the old method says about relativeness or relativity, it is not relativity but it is comparing, because if you compare the sun's position at 4 a.m. or in the term of angle, the angle is lower, and with increasing time this angle is with horizon in the anti-clockwise direction. Here the anti-clockwise direction, in the anti-clockwise the angle is increasing. And if we don't go in this term of physics, it is just comparing. You are comparing a time, sun, atmosphere at 4 a.m., then comparing the 6 a.m. and then 8 a.m., and you see clear difference with your bare eyes. So that's it. You are comparing and you know what the time is. Now you wake up, then you brush your teeth or do whatever you like, and then you let's suppose you have a breakfast, I don't know. So you eat what you like or don't eat, but you ask for a glass of water. Now the word a glass of water, if someone asks you what you want, you say a glass of water. But in terms of physics, what you want, what the physical quantity you have wanting, it's will the volume. Now this idea of volume is what? The bare sense, or in the simplified sense, you are asking someone that you want to drink, you want water. This physical thing you are wanting for what? Drinking. That's a separate question. But how much you want? That is one glass. And how much is one glass of water? That much quantity which is stored in that one glass. Now if someone says that, hey bro, I'm giving you this one jar of water, like everyone knows that everyone has idea of ml, I think. So what are these things? This is a defining quantity, because if you are saying that This is the one glass, this is a one jar, or this is a one bottle of 1 liter of Pepsi, Coca-Cola. Then how can you see without noticing this definition of ml? Because it is not the volume. How? By looking the size. This glass is smaller, this is larger, and this comparative degree sensing smaller and larger. All these things arise what? Due to you are comparing things. You compare things, that is smaller, this is larger, so it contains more water, it contains less water, and the sense that what is contained, and so what is contained is called volume. So what is volume? With your simplified view, a quantity possesses something with the shape and size. The possessive things is called volume. Means in 3-dimensional, if something possesses some of the space around it, it's the volume of it. Now we are not going on that base, but if you are defining this particular term volume, what it is, what extent, because you cannot say it is smaller, this is larger, because this thing is also smaller. You can small it, and you cannot see it, and you can enlarge it to a great extent. So that's why we need something fixed, which is units, and that's why we need to measure things. So these are the requirements. You cannot compare everything smaller, larger, smaller, larger. Now again we are doing just comparison, and this, like, you have, why my camera is that much. Now comparing in the sense of, you feel like you have a baby girl or baby boy, you have a sibling called your brother. Okay, you carry him. Now a 10-year-old says, hey big brother, please carry me, and you just say, hey bro, you are heavy. So he can say, why? Because you need much more force. So you are not going into it, but that's the general idea. Again, the relativeness or comparative, you are comparing. Or let's suppose a kid is growing up and he is playing with things. So he see a chocolate, he will pull it by this hand. Now if you give him this book of DJ Griffith, if he pull it, he will make larger force. And we are talking about force and things, considering that you know, and if you don't know, just hear the word. So the sense of less heavy or much heavier or lighter thing also come with our daily life experiences. By pulling or pushing something small, lighter to heavier, and all these things, if you analyze, these are the comparative, because a 10 kg is lighter than 20 kg and 10 kg is heavier than 5 kg. That's it. So these are the basic examples of relativeness. Now we are dealing not in this type of relativeness because we have some standard, but in time of motion. That's what we are mostly interested, that what is the motion and how it is. So again, suppose an imaginary world where you don't know what is motion. You are just standing in your house, you see, you look everyone walking, but not that extended, like running, cycling, train, bus. You have not seen anything. So so sorry for the pause. Now at the motion, so if you have not watched anything like motion, because if you think about motion, It's pretty simple, man. The cycle is going with some speed greater than someone who is walking. It's pretty obvious because you are used to watching all these things. Like the famous example that a train is going, a children will say his mom that, hey mom, uh, anyway, the drawing, hey mom, that the trees are going backward and we are just standing there. Why it is? And if they have patience, they will just say gently, no, kid, we are moving. The trees are there. They don't have any kind of food, so they don't run. And if you don't have patience, you will just give the same answer in the another way. But is he wrong or you are wrong? You are not wrong because you are an adult for the society, and yes, they don't have any kind of feet, so they will not run. But he is also not wrong. These trees are going relative or comparatively with respect to your son's eye or your son or the whole system. So with respect to the whole system, the trees are moving backward. So he's right because he is in the system, he's watching. You are also on the system, you are also watching, but you don't want to accept the fact that yes, it is happening and it is reality with respect to the frame or in the frame with respect to the outside. Because in the outside, your whole system in the train is moving in this direction. This is called velocity. Anyway, so now the thing again we will ask that if this is the reality that these things are moving backward, this is if we call it reality, then why we are not saying that this person is going upward, means forward, with respect to someone who is stationary in the station? Then why we are not saying this is relative, and why we are used to these things very much? So now the biggest question comes that you are somewhere where you have not seen very much motion, and it's pretty absurd thing because everything is in motion. Nothing is absolute rest, nothing is absolute motion, but everything is dynamic, nothing is static. So it is very hard to imagine, but not going into deep imagining this, like you are here, okay, the materials around you, like the trees, they are standing. This is not tree, this is tree. Like this is someone house. All these things are kept there. You are also sit down here on a seat, okay, on a chair. You are also sitting here. Now someone is running, yo. So the picture is very bad, but someone is running. So the sense of his running comes from the peripheral things which your eyes is watching. Why it will? Yes, it is watching. So you are watching that everything is kept there, like you are, and he is someone who is not keeping there, but he is in motion. The general sense that we understand, because these things are in rest related to you, you say these things in motion. Like again the famous example that in train, for that kit, everything is in rest, although all things are going in the motion with the train's velocity. And we will talk about velocity, speed, then later half, and we will come to the answer why it is velocity is differential Why don't we need the differentiating term? Why we just cannot say arguably distance by time or displacement by time? Why sometimes we need the ddx operator and all these things in very much later up? So now these things also relative. Now again, the idea of if someone is moving in a cycle and you see someone in motorcycle, you will call that motorcycle is much speed, because you see, and this is also how, because you see that like this is a tree, yeah, this is a tree, there is another tree, and with relative to you, the cycle just gone in a time here and the bike just gone here. You see that the bike just goes away in the same time, much larger distance, so it has larger speed with relative to it. But if you are in cycle, for in your frame, although it is very much not sensible, but from you the distance is just these things. So okay, now the famous example, or if you are anytime bored, you go on a train journey. So let's think this is a track. Here in this track is your train moving, there is another track, okay, and there is a third track. Now if your track is moving, now I'm not saying you are an adult, because for an adult all these things are pretty common because he is used to it, but for this kid who just asked why the trees are like here, if some trees are there here, so all these things are going backward, he is saying I am at rest, but these things are moving backward. How? We don't know. If this is the famous story of Macbeth from Shakespeare's, most probably, when the trees of Black Arthur's forest are moving, I don't know, that's the story most probably. So but now if a train is moving in this direction, and it is something which we all have, if you are on train journey in India, you have this experience, because due to the signal sometimes train just stopped for an indefinite time, just for say. So if another train come in this track, suppose your train is not moving, you are not also hearing the sound of the train bell or the jerking of the train, because all these things will remind you that the train is moving. But for that kid, he is not concerned about all these things, he is just watching with his eyes and saying all his observational result. Now if the train is not moving, another train just 1 minute hurriedly, so the train will just cross it, you will see another train just gone, not a very big problem. Now if your train start moving, some instance your train is start moving and another train also come on the same time with same velocity, or with more velocity, let's say with more velocity, then there is a thing that who is moving or you are not moving, because the train came, your train also starts, and you are not watching this side, this type of window to check whether it is you are moving or not moving, but apparently you cannot tell what it is moving or not. Again, in the same case, like 3 trains are moving in the same direction with same velocity, then you can just say hello to the next person, because two trains are relatively at rest to each other. So every passenger can hello to his neighboring passenger on the other train. Now the thing is, in our daily life, I don't think this kind of event happen where three trains are moving in the same speed. But the thing happen most commonly that two tracks nearby, two trains are crossing. You cannot say apparently at the first sight who is moving and who is not. If there is not a very large difference in the speed, if they are very near, you can say that another train is fixed or your train is fixed. So now the question also come that why it is like that. Here every adult will agree with my words. So it is called the relativeness which is there in this whole world, that you are moving because something is at rest. You are also at rest because something is moving. For this moving thing you are at rest. If there is nothing, then there is no point of talking. Still, in classical mechanics we can say that if there is nothing, you cannot say anything. Now the biggest question thing, that if we can say something at rest, but with which logic? With respect to what? Like I am saying that this car is in motion because there is something which is at rest. Okay. Our daily life experience in earth is, suppose that we are at rest although the earth is moving, but let's suppose that my house is at rest, some car passed by, I am saying that my house is at rest, and with respect to this house the car is moving, or with respect to me because I am also at rest, or if I am in some speed, someone is with more speed or lesser speed anyway. So now the biggest question will come that yes, we are understanding that we can say anything's motion is subject to another object, then what is rest with what? And if there's nothing called rest or motion, then what is that standard thing we are saying that respect to which all these things are happening? So these standard things we can say for motion or anything is frame of reference, and we will talk it about in the next video.